emerge from the foulness of the sewers only to be met with the equally dark stench of cordite and death. Although you've saved the kids, it's far from unharmed. Residents wander the street dazed, holding in their wounds, tending to others, observing the damage. The look in their eyes tells the story. Their illusion of safety has been shattered. You enter Paul Amsel's trade emporium, already knowing what you'll find there. The knowledge doesn't make the discovery any easier. Once again, the team gathers around Paul Amsel, but tonight he has no more missions to offer and no advice to give. His body lies motionless on the hardwood, cooling in the night air. The ruin of his face has been hidden under a burlap tarp. For several minutes, nobody speaks. Finally, Dietrich steps forward. I think we should say something about Paul. There's another moment of silence, and Iger speaks up. I'll go. Iger brings herself to attention, stares straight ahead. Paul Amsel was an important member of this team, and he supported us well. He said what he was going to do, and he did it. That's rare. That's worthy of respect. She looks down at the body. There's a long pause before she speaks again. Thank you, Paul Amsel, for everything. Another pause. Her voice softens. I was out of position when this came for you. I couldn't save you. I'm sorry. The others shift uncomfortably, not knowing what to say. Glory breaks the awkward moment. Her voice is frosty monotone. I appreciate what Amsel did for us. It's another loss, one that this team can't afford. Glory's body sweeps across the group, then lands on Amsel's body. Her expression is impossible to read. After a moment, she turns her head to look at you. Alright, which one am I gonna do this time? Losing people is hard, no denying it. Paul was a good one and will be missed. Dietrich nods in agreement and crosses himself. Yeah, he was. Goodbye, Paul. Gott sie mit dir. Gingerly, Blitz steps forward. His hair is mussed, and there's a fresh bullet hole in his jacket. He smells like smoke and blood and stale sweat, and his hands tremble as he takes them out of his pockets. Well, I didn't know Paul as well as the rest of you, but he seemed like a good guy. He shuffles his feet. I didn't want to see this happen at any rate. You okay, Blitz? Looks like you and Molit saw some action back there. Yeah, his eyes remain fixed on Amsel's body. I'll live. As if in turn, Dante lowers his head sadly, lets out a heavy sigh, and closes his eyes. We'll miss you, Paul. Don't worry about the body. I know what to do. Be respectful, but be quick. After all, it is only a shell. Paul is with Monica now. We're all gonna be with Monica soon if we don't do something. The Firewing came after once. She'll do it again. And she doesn't care if she brings down an entire Kiez to get us. Can't argue with that, boss. While Firestring lives, the Kreitz Bazaar is at risk. Our friends, our home, everything that Monica and Paul fought to protect, they'll all be destroyed if we don't put an end to her first. Come on, everyone. Let's get a look at that optical chip. I want to see what we're dealing with. Oh, right. Upgrades. Fortunately, I know exactly what to pick. This one. Yes. And better gun, Ruger Superhawk. I guess I'll say which I picked. The Dragon Slayer now harms all foes within 3 tiles of Dietrich for 16 damage on subsequent rounds. Targets take 5 HP and AP 1 damage, as opposed to reducing incoming damage. And target 2 enemies in 1 action for 1 HP, as opposed to free reloads on all weapons, and Glory's alternate was get a 100% health upgrade kit. And his is, I forget, well, checked into the Matrix attacks on his physical body are reduced by 3 damage. That hasn't been too much of a problem. Integrated tactical computer marks weak points in an opponent's armor. Blitz's mark target ability, which, to be fair, I haven't really been using. Now reduces the target's armor by 2. But if that's gonna happen, I will do that. Before, I think it was just, an aim bonus. Alright, let's listen to this chip thing. Actually. And stash. I don't need weapons, decks, or drones. I need these things. Medkit. Grenade. Yeah, why not? And I'll buy some more medkits. I need to do that. Don't let me forget, me. What are the contents? Oh, it said I had new messages. I should have read that. I put the chip into the thing. A half-second later, a real-time simulation of Alice appears, seated behind her mahogany desk. Something about it reminds you of a figure from a wax museum, lifelike but dead inside. It greets you with a facsimile of Alice's joyless smile. Customer name, Analog. Its voice is hollow, synthetic, an automaton masquerading as a living woman, one whom you've never even met in the flesh. Account number 101025579. Greetings, valued customer. I am an offline simulacrum of the Alice persona. I have been included on this chip to answer any questions that you might have about your information purchase. Nifty piece of tech. Not now, Blitz. If you are ready to proceed, I will present Alice's findings. You may interrupt this presentation at any time by saying, I have a question. Can't I just talk to you like a normal person? You may interrupt this presentation at any point by saying, Alice, I have a question. That answers that. Alright, let's get the show down the road. Very well, commencing presentation. The simulacrum goes rigid for a moment, then seems to relax. When it speaks, it sounds more natural, as though the real Alice is speaking through it. Alright, Analog, I've got good news for you and I've got bad news. Let's start with the good news. I found Vauclair and he's alive. Thank God. The trail to your missing doctor was a long and slippery one. The fee you paid me barely covered my costs for the job. I sent a team into the SOX on a fact-finding mission. I bribed government officials. I greased the palms of wage slaves at megacorps all across Europe. Each step I took eliminated possibilities, drew me a little bit closer, and finally I found the place where Vauclair is being held. The simulacrum makes a sweeping gesture with its right hand, and an image switchblades onto the screen. A grainy overhead photograph, annotated with map coordinates. You recognize it immediately. This is where you find him. He's being held captive at a remote estate called the Harfeld Manor. Bringing the narrative back to the beginning. You've got to be kidding me. He was there the whole time? Glory says nothing. She just studies the photograph and nods. Okay, nobody tell me. I get it. This is something else that I missed. I have a question. The simulacrum hitches again and you feel the life drain out of it. It looks up at you robotically. You have a question. Alright, please make your inquiry now. Vauclair is being held at the estate. What evidence do you have to support that? One of my assets at Transys Neuronet provided me with a video feed dated 2053-1010. This feed was taken by a corporate surveillance drone. Playback commencing. The screen is filled with a grainy black and white video feed. You recognize the Harfeld Manor, photographed from high above. The camera pushes in and the image sharpens. Through a barred ground-level window, you can see the shape of a stooped, emaciated figure. His body shows clear signs of neglect. The figure is unmistakable. It's Vauclair, 20 years older and worse for wear. His skin hangs loose on his bones and his cheeks are hollow. There is a distinctly gray pallor to his skin. That's Vauclair, alright. What's left of him, anyway? It doesn't look like they've been feeding him much. He shakes his head. Poor bastard. Another figure steps into the frame behind Vauclair. An orc. He turns his head slightly and his skin grafts catch the light. Vauclair slowly turns to face Dodrin and the video feed cuts out. Do you have another question? What else about the Harfeld Manor? Seismological data and thermal imaging confirm the existence of a large hollow chamber under the estate. It is my suspicion that Dr. Vauclair is being held somewhere within this substructure. A fire string's kept Vauclair trapped there for almost 20 years. She's got to have a good reason for it. It takes effort and resources to lock a man away for that amount of time. So what's our end game in all this? Why not just kill him and be done with it? Malice, revenge, who knows? Remember, this was the man who shot her down. If he sent her crashing into a radioactive wasteland, if somebody did that to me, I'd want to hurt him too, and I'd make it last. I think it goes deeper than that. According to Winter's DVD, Vauclair designed the experimental weapon that shot her down, and the weapon that split her body from her essence. Glory glances down at her own steel and chrome arms and suppresses a shudder. If I had to guess, I'd say that she's trying to make him fix whatever he did to her. That's what makes sense to me. There's a moment of silence as the group processes Glory's suggestion. Before anyone can speak, the simulacrum cuts back in. Do you have another question? No, bad news time. Very well, feel free to interrupt again with any future inquiries. The simulacrum pauses and a brief tremor washes over its body. Its eyes flutter and you can hear the sound of your computer working to process more of the chip's data. Iger turns to address the team. If Vauclair's at Harfeld, we've got problems. The last time we broke into the place, they took Monica out. It was a miracle that any of you got out alive. Yeah, but now we know what's down there. This time we'll be prepared for it. We can handle this. Iger shakes her head. No, it'll be worse, even worse this time. The first time we went in, we had the element of surprise on our side. But now they'll be expecting us. They're hunting us, remember? The security team's going to be waiting for us, Dietrich. That origin bastard is going to be waiting for us. And even if we make it past them, we're going to have to deal with the dragon in the basement. Well, what else can we do? Cut and run? Last time I checked, that wasn't an option either. Even if it were, I wouldn't take it. I'm not running from this. Not after what they did here tonight. None of us are, Glory, but Iger's right. We can't just go charging in there again. Not without some kind of edge. The simulacrum jerks back to life. It resumes speaking, blissfully unaware of the conversation that it's cutting off. And now, Analog, on to the bad news. You now know where Vauclair is, but rescuing him will not be possible. Alice, I have a question. Why the hell not? In the course of my investigation, I encountered something terrifying in the Matrix. It was fast, cunning, and very definitely intelligent. I'm convinced that I only escaped because it let me go. It could have killed me in a heartbeat if I wanted to. This thing that I met is protecting the Harfeld Manor, and it's going after anyone who gets too close to what's happening there. Alice, what did you see in there? What is going after these people? By way of explanation, I would like you to read the following document. The simulacrum makes another sweeping gesture, and the menu slides back onto the screen. This time it is filled with text. What you're looking at is an archived forum discussion from the early days of the Shadowland BBS. Blitz stares at the text on the screen. It isn't kidding, Chief. This discussion is dated back to 2036. That's ancient history in the decking community. It probably isn't even correct to call these guys deckers. Hackers would be the more appropriate term. When you're finished reading it over, say, Alice, I'm done, and we can continue. Read it. As you lean in to read, the text slowly begins to scroll up from the bottom of the screen. You all hear about the SK team that got crisped a few hours ago? A whole lab's worth of researchers all burned and broken beyond recognition. Ugly stuff. At this point, who hasn't? Power spike. Got them right through their data jacks like a bolt of lightning to the brain. A 1 in a million accident is what they're saying. And you believe that? Got a more plausible explanation? Yes, actually, it was a cleanup operation. Color me intrigued. What were they cleaning up? A secret project that Lawfare didn't want anything to do with. You might have heard rumors about it. The project name was Apex. And you lost me. Apex Clockwork, seriously, that old line of Jack? I'm telling you, jokers, Apex is real, or at least it was, until the Whizworm pulled the plug. Come on, Clockwork, we're still decades away from seeing a fully functional AI, you know that. Those Apex stories they've been floating around, they're just some conspiracy nuts' wet dream. Fine, keep your heads in the sand. Some of us know the truth when we read it. Okay, Clock, I'll humor you, but riddle me this. If Luftware had an armed and operational AI in his claws, why kill it? You remember what happened with most of Echo Mirage? The crash virus killed them, fried their brains, but I don't see what that has to do with anything. With the commercial release of the CDT-1000, some security firms are working on counter-intrusion software that could do the same thing. Black IC. You can look it up if you don't believe me. Whoa, scary stuff, man. Well, the goal of the Apex project was even scarier. IC waits for you to come to it. Apex wouldn't be bound by those restrictions. It could go out hunting, hit its targets when they least expect it. That's why they called it Apex. It was designed to be the apex predator of the digital world. And so rather than using it to his advantage, Luftware decided to kill it in the cradle. The Whizworm's no fool. Some things are too dangerous to play around with. How would you put that genie back in the bottle if it ever slipped out of your control? Answer, you couldn't. And then it would take over the world. 111. Okay, this thread has officially gone off the rails. I'm closing it down for the good of mankind. The slow scroll of text comes to a stop. Alice, I'm done. The simulacrum jerks back to life, then settles into a neutral pose. There are no official records in the Shadowrun database to support the existence of the Apex project, but the thing that I encountered was Apex. Of that I'm certain. I am certain that Apex was responsible for the deaths of Monica Schaefer, Green Winters, Clockwork, Peregrine, and a score of other deckers over the last 16 years. Let's raise his hand. Hold up, Alice, I have a question. I thought they said Loafer killed Apex. They speculated as much, yes, but they were wrong on that count. I do believe that Sader Krupp was developing Apex as a tool for Matrix warfare. I am also convinced that the IT personnel who were killed were the Apex development team. But I don't think that Loafer was responsible for the deaths. Apex killed them. That'd be my guess, yes. In the turmoil surrounding Loafer's buyout of Sader Krupp, a number of projects went missing. I believe that Apex was appropriated by a member of Fireschwing's organization at this point. It was then unleashed on its own development team to silence them. Since then, it has provided information control for the Firewing. A pet AI would explain how Fireschwing has managed to maintain her conspiracy and avoid detection for the past 2 decades. Anytime anyone gets close, the AI takes them out and scrubs the record clean. So there's your bad news, Analog. Vauclair is being held at the Harfeld Manor, but knowing that does you no good because you can't approach the place. I doubt that you could open the door without Apex frying you. You did last time. They were trying to protect their secret. Like Audryn said, if we hadn't gone down into the basement, they'd have let us go. Apex didn't react to us until Monica attempted to force the door to the basement. And now that the cat's out of the bag, they have no reason not to pull out the big guns on sight. Dietrich grimaces. You're right. We can't go back while Apex is in place. The room falls into silence. Finally, Edgar turns to you. What's the play, Analog? We can't turn back now. If Apex is standing between us and Vauclair, then we need to find a way to kill Apex. Fucking A, boss. I'm in. You hear that, Alice? Do you have any suggestions? The simulacrum hitches again. The pause stretches. Finally, it comes back to life. The AI has a kill switch, but Alice deemed any additional contact with Apex to be an unjustifiable risk. Attempting to reach the kill switch would be inadvisable. Saving the warnings. I'm gonna kill this thing. I owe Monica that much. You and me both. Alice, tell us about Apex's kill switch. The simulacrum stares at you with dead eyes. Thanks to my close encounter with the AI, I was able to run a trace on it. Through this trace, I discovered the physical address of a backdoor access point for Apex's programming. An old Sader Krupp research lab, long since abandoned and fallen into disrepair. The facility is now hotly contested gang territory. I have also determined that a kill switch for the AI exists somewhere in the basement of this facility. I will provide you with a physical address. I don't like the smell of this, Chief. It said that Apex let Alice escape. He turns to address the simulacrum on the screen. Alice, why would a Matrix Warfare AI allow you to run a trace on it? It stares straight ahead. Its eyes are dead. I'm afraid that the answer to that question falls outside of the scope of my written parameters. The simulacrum stutters one final time, then looks up at you with an apologetic smile. You have now reached the end of this presentation. I have been encoded with a final message from Alice to analog. Playback commencing. The simulacrum's eyes go wide and the life floods back into it. It stares directly at you. Analog, if you didn't listen to me before, listen to me now. Drop this. Stop going after Vauclair, get out of Berlin, and stay out of the Matrix. I'm telling you this for your own good. That's all I have to say. I'm following my own advice. I'm out. Don't try to contact me again. The simulacrum reverts to its idle stare, slumping like a puppet with the strings cut. Its eyes glaze over and its face goes slack. Then the screen cuts to black. So the Dragon is a killer AI in charge of security. I can't say I'm surprised, but then nothing surprises me anymore. We know what killed Monica, we have a name for it, and we know how to kill it. That's good enough for me. We know what we have to do. We can either stand around talking about it, or we can go do it. Agreed. We shut down Apex, then we re-enter the estate and rescue Vauclair. He's the key to the whole thing. Sounds like a plan, boss. I still just say that all this is crazy talk, Chief. Taking out an AI isn't a bad idea. It's suicide. So my vote is to cut and run. Blitz surveys the rest of the other group, sees the determination in their faces. Finally he sighs. But if you're really doing this, you'll want the best Decker you can find along for the ride. And I guess that nominates me. Whoa. Ellis said that the kill switch is located in some old SK facility. Assuming that the site was shut down sometime after the Apex project disappeared, it could have been stood empty for years, maybe decades. She also said that the building was in gang territory now. I wonder if it'll be anything like Das Kessel House was. God, I hope not. There's only one way to find out. Let's get prepped. This thing isn't gonna kill itself. Let's glances at you. The worry is painted all over his face. I can't believe I'm saying this, but you better bring me along. You try going up against an AI without another hot Decker at your side, and you're probably gonna regret it. Iger begins her weapons check. Improvise, adapt, overcome. Whatever's there, we'll deal with it. First, we find our way into the basement. She peers through the scope of her sniper rifle. And then we kill the AI that killed Monica. Damn right. The team breaks to begin gearing up. As she slides a shell into her shotgun, Iger catches your eye. You did good out there defending the Kreutz Bazaar. You've had our backs the entire way, made good decisions. In this job, we work together or die alone. True, you're right. Again. Anyway, we should get back to it. We've got an AI to take out after all. Analog, do me a favor and keep your eyes open on this one. We're walking into the unknown here. Makes me a little uneasy. Don't worry, I've got your back. She smiles, claps you on the shoulder. I know you do, and I've got yours. You've more than earned it. You too, Iger. Without another word, the troll slides her shotgun into the sheath on her back and turns to continue her pre-mission checklist.